Welcome back, my friends, for episode 3 of Beyond Bricks and Mortar. The following is a conversation with Talia McKinney. Now, when I first joined Serhant, it was very clear from the very beginning that Talia was one of its key players. Having worked directly with Ryan Serhant for close to a decade, Talia's expertise in the world of real estate is pretty much second to none. Her experience certainly speaks for itself, having done some iconic transactions in recent history, including a penthouse at 157. Listening to Talia's story provides some incredible insight as to just what it's like to spend a decade in real estate, having finally reached that moment of success that we're all going after. Her story is highly inspiring and highly motivating, and being a lifetime competitive athlete, it's quite clear the level of determination and competitiveness that Talia deploys in her work on a day-to-day basis. That being said, it is also quite clear that the people who work with Talia love to do so. Her charm, her thoughtfulness, her charisma, as well as the importance she places on listening to the client throughout the process has propelled her to this incredible level of success. I myself was very inspired by this story, and I'm very, very much looking forward to all of you hearing this conversation. So listen closely, my friends, because if you're looking to enter into real estate, then Talia is certainly someone that you can model off of as well as draw inspiration from. So without further ado, here she is, my good friend, Talia McKinney.
Is that an actual Coca-Cola?
It is. Would you like it?
Kind of.
Yeah, take it. And there's ice in the bucket. Can I offer you
I
some?
never eat or drink Coke, but I feel like this day is like insane.
You need a little sugar.
Thank you. Wow.
It's my pleasure.
Oh, well, now I feel like I want like a Negroni or something. No,
Would you like some whiskey?
no, thank you. It was a rough night last night.
Was it?
Sunday fun day. Come on. It's so crazy. I never drink soda, but sometimes when it's like sitting there and it's the can.
Sometimes you need a little sugar. I get it. And the sound.
I know.
Thanks for doing this. I know how busy you are. You're like
I
a
am.
real rock star. You're all over the place. I'm always seeing you. I think you're probably the most consistent social poster I've ever met in my life.
That's what people say. I mean, I try.
How's your day going?
My day is great. I had a busy weekend, which is good.
Yeah, always.
Yeah, it is.
You sound like a real estate agent.
I mean, it's interesting because, wow, this is like so weird.
Hearing yourself?
Yes. Okay. Yes, I just feel like my weekends now, like I used to try to at least take off like a Saturday or Sunday. This Saturday I was like slammed.
Yeah.
Like literally I had my first showing in Tribeca at 10. I had my last showing in Bed-Stuy at 5:30. And it was like booked back to back to back all day.
Was it
which
worth
is great.
it? Did you pull any offers this weekend?
Yes. So I think possibly with 2 people that I went out with,
Fantastic.
which is great.
Fantastic.
And then Sunday was a little less crazy, but yeah, I just feel like my clients are very active. But then today, it's like getting everything ready because I'm going to Chicago tomorrow to speak for like Sell It Like Serhant and speak for Ryan at like 2 different
You do a
companies.
lot of that.
Yeah.
You like it.
I do.
Yeah, I could tell.
It's just today, it's just like, wow. That's a lot.
It's a lot going on.
Yeah.
I'm with you. All right, well, let's jump right in.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of questions for you. You're definitely a very interesting character, so I was excited.
Am I a character?
I was excited about this interview. Yeah, I mean, listen, when I first joined Serhant, it was pretty evident right away that you were one of the key players.
Yes.
And you and I had never really met before until I joined Serhant, and you had been in the business just about the same amount of time as I have. So
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah,
Okay.
I've been in it since 2012.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, 2013 or 14 for me?
Yeah,
2013.
just
yeah.
about the same career
Yeah.
trajectory. And it's interesting. I feel like we're both fans of Ryan. Like I feel like that's how it started for me early also. Like I also like tried to meet him really early on in my career and draw inspiration from him. So I found that interesting when I came across some of your content and doing some of my research. But let's start with this. You were born and raised in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
I was.
How did you end up in New York? And do you think New York is your home forever?
Ooh, okay. So yes, I'm from Lancaster. I know that you're not from there because everyone says Lancaster, and they're like, that's when you know they're not from there because everyone says Lancaster because that's what it looks like.
Lancaster.
So yes, small town, Lancaster, Pennsylvania. We're known for the Amish. Woohoo! And Hammond's pretzels. We're known for that as well.
Are you Amish?
I'm not, but my babysitter was Amish.
Oh, fantastic!
So yes, I was raised in like barns and fields.
Wow.
Yeah. So I went to college. I got recruited to run track and cross country at Kutztown University. It's a state school. I've been an athlete my entire life, runner, swimmer, chose track, was a communications major, PR minor, ran 4 years, graduated, and was like, I always wanted to live in New York City.
Right.
And
like
I still get
else.
excited. But like I used to come on day trips with my grandmother to go see Broadway shows. So when I was 8 years old, my mom said she took me to New York. We like went up on this tour bus, and she's like, you looked up at the buildings and you were like, I'm going to live here someday. And I was 8.
Wow.
And my mom is like, this girl, when she wants something, she's going to get it. So when Talia graduates from college, she's going to most likely move to New York.
And I imagine it was somewhat of a culture shock, like coming from more of like a rural region of the country and coming to New York City to literally a jungle of concrete.
Yes, which is what I loved. And I remember that even at 8, I was like, this place has great energy. And so, throughout my years, I would come to visit and I was like, oh yeah, I'm definitely moving to New York. So graduated from Kutztown University, found my roommate off of Craigslist, moved here in 2006, and... Did
you like your roommate?
I did. Actually, it's really funny that you asked that. My first roommate, we just met up this weekend. I haven't seen her for 9 years, and it was a good Craigslist roommate story.
Wow. Because that really could turn out the other way.
I know. Yes, there are the horror stories.
So what were like some of your challenges settling into a New York lifestyle? Because I find that at least like people like, I'm 32 and I think that people my age, no one my age really lives in New York City. We all just survive here. Right. So I'm curious what, especially coming from, again, a rural region, what were some of your challenges kind of settling into the New York life?
Yeah, just like you said, I felt like I just had to survive and like figure out who to trust and who not to trust. So I was working at a fashion PR company when I first moved to New York, and I was like, how do people live off of this money? Right. So I literally got like a job doing promotions, a job being a hostess at a restaurant in the East Village. And then like I would pick up like random jobs here and there, like bartending or like...
Wow. So you must have like an affinity for hospitality in some sense. Yeah, so do I.
I really like it.
And it's one of my favorite things to talk about is hospitality.
Yes, huge hospitality background. Yeah, so I worked in New York City restaurants for probably 8 years.
Nice.
And that's sort of, why I love real estate, because I'm like, I love serving people and...
Yeah, and there is a key difference between service and hospitality. Service being kind of like that sequence of acts and things that we do with consistency, but hospitality really being the spirit behind it all, Yes. So that spirit radiates off you. It's quite clear.
I do love it. I'm pretty good at what I do, I would say. So
how did you land in real estate?
Yeah.
After trying all these different things.
Yeah, so I tried all these different things. I was like, I want to do fashion. I want to do public relations. I want to do events. And I worked at a few different restaurants in the city. I worked at Johnny Utah's, which has a mechanical bull in Midtown, right? I'm sure many people have. It's very novelty in New York.
And you were a bartender there?
Yes. Nice. So I was bartending, bottle service. Do they still have that? I don't go out enough to know. Like, is bottle service still a thing?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
I'm literally the lamest person in New York.
No, I love my nights in. So I was doing that, and then the fashion PR thing, I was like, I just don't love it. What can I do? So I met a girl who was working at Johnny Utah's. We became best friends. We're like, we should travel the world together. So we took time off from our jobs and we traveled to like 30 countries together.
Wow.
Over like 3 years.
Wow.
So we would make money. Really good money, and then, to us, really good money. We're like bartending, cocktails.
Yeah, but when you're young and single,
you just
spend it all.
Right.
Sorry.
So, we were like, let's travel the world. But we were like, for me, I was like, I want to travel, but I want to like give back while I'm traveling.
Right.
So we volunteered in an orphanage in Vietnam, which was amazing, life-changing, a special needs orphanage.
Wow.
Like, changed my life.
That's amazing.
Taught English in an orphanage in Peru, which was amazing. Went to Southeast Asia, went to South Africa, different parts of Africa, South America, Central America. And I was like, okay, this is a little addicting. So we did that for... Is that outside? Oh my gosh,
New York
that's so
City.
crazy. I know, it's fine. I'm like, how's that in here?
People have asked me, are you going to soundproof this room? Like, no.
No, I'm fine with it. I was just like, is that in my head?
It's good to hear a little New York in the background.
I love that. So I was like, let's travel. Then we kind of got the like travel bug. We had the travel bug. We were like staying in hostels, so we weren't really spending much money. It was amazing. Like eating street food. Like we were in Thailand and like we would spend $1 on pad thai, like for the day, and like 50-cent beers. And so we did that. I came back to New York. I was working at Bryant Park Grill in Bryant Park, and I was a server, and I had this table, and they're like, you're like amazing. Like, what do you do? That's what people always ask. You hate that question though when you're serving. You're like, this is my job. Like, that's why do I have to be doing something else? But they're like, what is like your real job? And I was like, this is kind of it. Yeah, thanks guys. Thanks. They're like, you're not an actor. No. They're like, you should get into real estate. They're like, have you ever thought of getting into real estate? And I was like, yeah. Like, I watched the show, $1 Million Listing New York. I love it, but I'm from Pennsylvania. Like, I don't really know anyone who would buy, rent, or sell in New York. Like, all my friends are poor. So they're like, get your license, come work for, this guy was like, I own a commercial real estate company. He's like, get your license and come work for me. And I was like, okay, sounds great. So of course I went through the course and the classes, and I was like, I don't really think commercial's the right thing for me.
It's a different kind of real estate.
Totally different beast. I was like, I want to do residential. I love apartments. I love homes. I feel like it's more like we were saying, like hospitality service, like helping people find a place they're going to spend a ton of money on and live there and grow their families.
It's a decision we make with the heart. So because the emotion's tied into it, and if you could touch the heart, that really creates like limitless potential in your business.
Yes. And just, I just felt like that would be like my clients would become my friends, and I just had this vision. Yeah. And so I was like, thanks, but I'm going to go into residential. So I joined this. Am I screaming? No, am I yelling? I'm good. Okay. Good. I was like, I feel like I'm like presenting. I get excited talking about my life.
Get excited. That's what we're here for.
Yeah. So I went into residential real estate. I started working at this smaller boutique firm. I don't know, smaller. And
you could say it's all right.
Bond, New York.
Yeah, Bond's classic.
Bond. Yeah. So I was like hustling around doing rentals, like putting ads up on Craigslist, like trying to meet people. I was like, wow, this is really hard. Yeah. I was like, $1 Million Listing New York is not showing what real New York
make it look
real
easy.
Estate is like. Thanks, Ryan. So I was watching this show in the meantime, $1 Million Listing New York. Loved this guy Ryan Serhant on the show, and I was like going through different teams at Bond, and like the team leads were not helpful at all. I was like, I still have no clue what I'm doing. They're like, just put ads up on Craigslist.
You just didn't have the support that you felt you needed.
I didn't have the support. Yeah. So I reached out to one guy at Bond, and he was like, oh, I have this listing. You can kind of partner with me. So I learned that. I sort of started learning sales that way. But in the meantime, I was like, I want to work for Ryan. Like, I know I'm going to be amazing at this. I just need the right mentor. Yeah. I need the right person to help. So I started reaching out to Ryan in 2014, and I like started sending him emails, and 12 months went by with no response. And I was like, why wouldn't this guy have me on his team? I'm like, no, I have no contacts. What were you doing
during those 12 months? Just still hammering at the rentals?
Hammering at the rentals. I was like trying to help people at this company, but there wasn't really that support, and no one who was really producing that much. Yeah. Maybe they were better now, but at the time there wasn't that much support. Yeah.
It's classic. I went through something similar. Yeah. Like the first sale deal I ever did was a co-op turn down, and the little firm I was at, they just like didn't understand what that meant. Yeah. So that was kind of the moment when I realized, all right, it's time to go somewhere where they really understand this game. Yeah. They were also commercial real estate guys, but they were doing like furnished rentals.
Got it.
That's how I kind of got started too. So I'm feeling a lot of familiarity with your story.
I know. It's so crazy. So reached out to Ryan for 12 months. Got no response. And actually, no, sorry. After 12 months, I got a response that said, hey, thanks for reaching out. Like, we're not looking for anyone to join the team. Best of luck. So I was like, oh, no. I'm like an athlete. I'm someone who doesn't give up. I know that I'm going to work with you. You just don't know it yet. So in the meantime, I kind of was helping this guy with a listing at Bond, and I closed my first sale. It was $284,000. Oh, nice. With a co-op on the Upper East Side. And I was like, this is awesome. I was like, I love this.
The rush.
What did I know? I said no commission talk, but I made like $4,000 or something.
Yeah, that's okay.
I was like, this is amazing.
I wasn't going to open this up by saying, Talia, how much money do you make?
I know. Well, you'd be surprised how many people are like, so this $34 million listing, what's your commission? Yeah. I was like, that's so awkward. Yeah. So I did that. So then 12 months had gone by. I was like, I'm going to reach out to Ryan and make the conversation, make the emails a little more personalized. Like, Ryan,
I just closed my first deal.
I just closed my first deal. I see that you just got this townhouse listing on the Upper East Side. Congratulations. I see that your team is now the new development team for this building in the East Village.
Yep.
I was like, yeah, this is going to get him. He's going to want me. This is going to get him. Another entire year went by. So this is 2016. I started emailing him in 2014. October of 2016, I got an email back from Ryan Serhant, who said, I'm starting a team in Brooklyn, in Bed-Stuy. Would you be interested? And I was like, what is Bed-Stuy? I don't know Brooklyn at all. I lived in Astoria in like an apartment with no heat with like 3 other roommates. And I was like, I know nothing about Brooklyn. I was
But
like,
you didn't say that in your email.
I did not say that.
Said yes.
I was like, absolutely. I was like, yes, I will. I went in for an interview the next day. Met with Ryan, and in the interview, I was honest. I was like, I don't know Brooklyn that well. He's like, do you have a car? Like, it's hard to get around. I was like, I don't, but I will make this work. I will be the best agent on your team. And he's like, there's something. He's like, there's something.
Fantastic.
He's like, it's a yes for me. And I sat back and I was like, I'll have to think about it. And he was like, so I joined Ryan Serhant. That was 7 years ago.
That's amazing. And you've been with Ryan ever since.
Yes.
So then let me ask you this question. I didn't even plan to ask you this question, but I'm genuinely curious because we hear Ryan tell the story a lot about how Serhant was created and going through that transition during 2020. But being an agent on his team at the time with Nest Seekers, how was that experience for you? You know, like when he left Nest Seekers and he decided to create Serhant, like what was that like for you?
It was hard. I feel like I don't really know what to compare it to because I never really, I've been with
Ryan. Well, did you know you
long.
were going to stay with him through that transition, or was there a moment of question there?
There was a moment of question for me just because I wasn't sure like what Serhant was going to be.
Right.
Of course, Ryan was like, I want you to come with me and do this, but it's also like he was still figuring things out. Right. And it was COVID time. So we weren't even, I remember leaving the office in 2020, like it was March, and we had Serhant team at Nest Seekers. We had our own office, and Ryan was like, oh, so we're just gonna like, I think we're all go to like our different spots, apartments, and we'll see you guys in like a week. Because no one really knew what COVID was going to be. Like, right, I remember I went home to Pennsylvania to stay with my mom, and she's like, just bring like 2 pairs of clothes, and then I'll take you back to the city next week. 7 weeks go by. We're doing these like Zoom calls with Ryan and like trying to figure out what's going on. And he's like, the world's not blowing up. It's just like taking a little time to figure things out. So in that time, there was these like rumors of Ryan starting this company. And I was like, wait, what is happening? So yes, it was a little scary. It was a little weird. Was I going to stay at Nest Seekers? I wasn't sure. What was happening with Serhant? Was he going to bring everyone that he said? We weren't sure.
Right.
You know, was he going to have specific people that he was bringing over? I was like, of course, I would think it would be me. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
It has to make sense business-wise.
Right. So what made you like have the faith enough to make the leap?
Because it's Ryan.
He projects confidence.
Yes. And I just feel like we have this relationship. You know, I feel like I'm just in it with him.
Yeah. Yeah, well, he's an exceptional leader.
Yes.
And, you know, we've been friends a long time, but until I came to Serhant, I didn't quite realize what a good leader he is, the way he applies the personal touch. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a Serhant agent. You know, I think like for me, the biggest like question when I was considering joining Serhant is I don't really want to be perceived like I'm just on Ryan's team. You know, like I've been at this a long time. I want to create my own team. But then after visiting Serhant and having that meeting with Ryan, it was like, I'd be fucking crazy not to do this.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So, yeah, he's an exceptional leader.
Yeah, there really wasn't. Yeah. I was like, what are my other options? I just feel like it's great. And it was like such a great opportunity to be a part of like what I was like agent like 7 at Serhant, you know? That's
you got
cool.
it on the ground floor.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, why not? I remember
I'm sure if he ever goes public, you'll get some shares.
Right. I mean, but yeah, I should. But we were like working out of this townhouse in Tribeca, and there was like 20 people working out of it.
Very brief.
Yeah, very brief.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it was just like the holdover while we got the office ready. Because, yeah, then I guess we went to West Broadway after that.
Yeah.
But the townhouse was cool for the time being.
Did you find that there was like a little bit of a lag time in, you know, getting like your transaction motion in?
Not really. I feel like, and that was the thing that sort of attracted me to it. Because I'm like, it's kind of like the same thing, a little bit different, kind of better. Because I feel like I'd gotten to a point in my career where Ryan was like, a lot of people were like, do you really need Ryan at this point? Like I procure a lot on my own. So they were like, are you always going to be on his team? And even he said, he's like, at some point, like, he's like, I want you to have kind of like your own team and do your own thing.
And you did that.
Right. So I feel like it was a perfect transition for me to be like, okay, now he's the CEO. Yeah. Now I can have my own team. Because would I have stayed under that Ryan Serhant team umbrella for how long?
Right. And how many are you now on your team?
So I have 4 agents and 1 director of operations.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I could see you being a great leader.
I know.
As well.
I love it. And that's what they say too. So I love my team.
So what do you and your team kind of make of the current tumultuous market? Like, how do you stay positive through it? You know, I guess what keeps you in the game?
Yeah. I feel like there's no other option for me.
Like, what are we supposed to do?
Like what?
Are we supposed to stop working?
Yeah. It's so crazy because I feel like so many people ask this question and I have this talk with my team. For me, you know, and I am a very positive person, and people, you know, they see me on social media and they're like, oh my gosh, you're like the same person in real life and you're always positive. And as crazy as it sounds, I do feel like you attract what you put out there.
Yes.
COVID,
it's a cliche for a reason.
It really is. Yeah. I feel like 2020, when like everything stopped and we literally were not able to sell real estate, I had one of my best years ever. That was my best year up until that date. 2020 was my best year ever. So I learned to pivot. I figure things out. And I feel like that's what I really don't feel that the market's like tumultuous right now.
Yeah, it's tumultuous in the media.
Right, exactly. It's how you want to portray it. It is New York City. Everyone needs somewhere to live.
Yeah, there's no market you can't do business in.
Right.
I like that the kind of Serhant motto is that the market shouldn't dictate your success; it should dictate your strategy. I find that to be very, very true. You know, so I'm with you there.
Yeah.
So let me move forward here. So you seem to have quite a zest and a passion for life, which definitely radiates in your public presence. Your smile has become your signature. That's very clear. You know, it's like like I feel like someone would know you from your smile. Yeah. So where would you say the passion comes from, and how do you apply that to your real estate on a day-to-day?
That's a good question.
It must have started somewhere.
I mean, I honestly, my mom is amazing. My mom is like my biggest cheerleader, and she's the most positive. It's so funny because now people know my mom on social media. She calls herself Miss Sally. She was a special needs preschool teacher for 40 plus years. And she's amazing. And I feel like it's my mom, my sister, and I, and we're just positive.
Yeah.
And people say, like, how do you keep yourself like that? Thankfully for me, it's like a natural thing. I'm just very grateful.
She's a special needs teacher. She must have a lot of patience, too.
She has a lot of patience. Yeah. She has a lot of energy. She's a lot of positivity. And so for me, I just I am grateful because I do wake up and feel positive and energy and whatnot, but I am very grateful as well. Like I said, I've traveled to 40 countries? I think I'm at 39. Wow. 39 countries. I've seen a lot. I've volunteered in a lot of places. I'm super grateful. And I'm just grateful for like where I've come and where I am. Like I said, my first listing or my first sale was $284,000. I have a $34 million listing, and I don't take anything for granted.
Absolutely.
So
I'm with you there. And we've had a few conversations about travel. I know that it's really a passion of yours. And you ended up going to Greece, didn't you? And did you like it?
I did. I loved it. So thank you for all of the ideas and recommendations. And yes, I definitely will be going back to Greece.
I love it there. I really, really love it there. Yeah. So you've done a lot of public speaking and mentorship. Do you consider this to be kind of a source of your fulfillment in life? Like, is it something that really makes you happy? And is there a moment in time that maybe you can identify when that passion started for you?
Yeah, I think so. Yes, I love speaking. As I said, I was a communications major in college, and I kind of wanted to do something. It's kind of the best of both worlds for me. I love real estate. I love speaking. I was like, before I wanted to be like an MTV host. And then I was kind of like, I don't know if that's the route I want to go. So I feel like doing real estate and speaking is great for me. So I think it kind of took place when Ryan was starting this YouTube channel, Listed. And I love the studios guys, and they were like, Ryan wants you to be the first show on Listed.
Love that.
Like, we don't know what it's going to be, but do you want to do it? And I'm a yes girl. So I was like, Sure.
You're a team
show,
player.
Yes, sure, let's do it. So we had this show called 3 in a Million. That was the first show. And they were like, Ryan wants you to do this. You're going to be the first show. We're going to take off with you. And then Ryan was like, oh, you're really good at this. Like, would you want to do more things with me? Like $1 million listing. And then do you want to do the speaking?
Did you make some appearances on the show?
I did. Come on. I'm going to send you some of these links because they're really funny.
I want to see. Please.
Ryan kind of, he gave me some, he got me into some trouble on some of the
he gave you like a beating on the show?
He gave me challenges, we'll say. There's one episode, which I should send you because it's actually really funny.
Did you know going into it, though?
I did not.
He does this, by the way. Do you remember that time? Do you remember that,
I remember
that
seeing
meeting?
your...
Remember that meeting? We went to the office. He's like, yeah, we're all going to have this meeting at the office for the Netflix show. And then like we get in there and he just reams us all out. So now anytime he asks me to get involved in something, I'm like, are you going to scream at me?
Yeah. No, I kind of ask now. But in this episode, which I'll send you the link because it's really funny, he's like, oh, I want to give you this townhouse, but you have to sell it to me now. And I was like, and he just like showed me the place. And I was like, come on. I would have wanted to like practice or like see the place first so I would know. And then he's like, oh yeah, and my name's Bob and I have 7 wives. Sell it to me now. And I was like,
7 wives?
He like had this like whole, then he's like, he was antisocial and he has iguanas and he would just like add to the story as it's really funny. I'll send it to you.
I want to see it.
But it's a good challenge and I conquered it. And he's like, you actually did really good. I was like, thanks.
Fantastic.
On the spot.
I want to watch that.
Yes.
So in your bio, it says that you approach real estate with the belief that success is built upon the strength of the relationship. Is there a story that comes to mind where you might categorize as the most impactful relationship you've built in real estate? Like, what would you say is your most important relationship? Of course, you don't have to use names, but maybe
right. I just feel, I feel like a lot of people, and that's what I love about this business, especially for me. I feel like I genuinely care, and not saying not every agent does, but I just feel like so many people that I've worked with, they're like, there's just something that like you feel like a friend.
Yeah.
When we meet you, you feel like a friend, like you have our backs, like you're looking out for us. If we buy something, never. If we buy something in a week, if we buy something in 2 years. Important. But so many people just don't get that. You really have to just listen to your client and take the time to understand what they're looking for. And I feel like I have so many great friends that I'm like, oh my gosh, we met in an open house and we became great friends and I'm at your baby shower now. And like, it's just like the relationships. Yeah. That's what I love.
And that's what builds trust between people as well. You want, especially like you said, we're dealing with something where it's the most important decision they're ever going to make. If you can help them feel that sense of home from the very beginning, then they'll trust you.
Exactly. So I feel like there's so many where I'm like, oh my gosh, wait, how did we meet? Oh yeah, we met at a showing or an open house or this. Like it's crazy because I've met so many clients and now I have like a hashtag clients turned friends because it happens so often.
I love that. I love that. What are some of the other people that you draw inspiration from? I know we're both Ryan fans. But
yes.
Who are some of the other people?
Definitely. My mom. And then I also volunteer with Achilles International, which is an organization that I'm very close to. It's close to my heart. So I'm an athlete. I'm a runner. So they guide athletes with disabilities, with athletes without disabilities. So I guide a blind runner. His name's Erwin. Wow. We've run a few marathons together.
Like full marathons?
Full marathons.
Wow, what's that like to
Erwin
run a marathon
is a rock
blind?
star. So it's very difficult, and this is why I love it so much, and I get inspiration from volunteering with these amazing athletes. So you're literally tethered together,
I was going to say, like, is he holding your arm?
Yeah, pretty much. Wow. So now we've tried the waist tether, which is a little bit easier, but the entire time I'm guiding him verbally, physically.
It's like 2 marathons for you.
It's exhausting. Like at the end, I'm like hoarse. I have no voice because the entire time you're guiding him. Like, Erwin, go to your right. And then you're yelling to the people like, blind runner behind you, blind runner behind you, like the entire time. And that's a huge, my mom was a special needs teacher. So that being able to give back is very something that I enjoy doing. Like I said, I volunteered in orphanages and taught English and
you connect with that cause.
I love to volunteer and to give back. I would
imagine that certainly helps to strengthen your leadership skills to be able to do something like that. And that's why patience was the first thing that came to the surface when you mentioned your mother. To be a special needs teacher, you really need to deploy a tremendous amount of patience.
Yes.
So that's That's great. I'm sure that really builds into the leadership skills.
And the crazy thing about Erwin, who's blind, who we run tethered together, he's actually faster than me. So I have to sometimes like literally pull him back with the tether because he's very fast.
What's your fastest marathon time?
So my fastest is just under 4.
Oh, okay.
And he is now, I think he just did New York City in like 3:18.
Wow.
Yes.
So he's faster than you are.
Yes. We don't run so much together anymore because he's a little too fast. He made me sick in the last marathon because I ran so hard. But there's a first for everything. So
you've run the New York Marathon.
I've done it 5 times.
Wow. Do you think you'll do it again?
I would like to.
Is there a record you want to beat?
Not really. So I've done it twice for myself, by myself, and then I've done it 3 times with Erwin guiding.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty fascinating. I love that.
Yeah,
that's
I love
awesome.
it.
One of my favorite things to do, my wife and I together, is to like walk First Avenue during the marathon. It's such such a New York moment.
I mean, I'm there every year if I'm running it or if I'm cheering. Yeah. It's like a holiday for my mom and I. She came up this past year, and it's amazing.
It's very special, and
amazing.
you really it's almost emotional when you see how everyone turns up and everyone's cheering. No one's asking any questions. It's just complete support from New York City.
I get chills because I'm like, my mom and I watched it with Ryan and Zena at the 8
mile
mark. And then we were like, we're going into 22. He's like, see you later. You guys are a little crazy for me. We get a little crazy. We like love to cheer. So
I love that. All right. Yeah. So is there a particular deal, a particular transaction that stands out to you as your proudest?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Let's hear it.
I mean, in contract, Penthouse 88 at 157 West 57th Street. Last ask, $34 million.
Yes.
I'm so proud of that. That's like my baby. We're supposed to close next week.
Took some time, didn't it?
Took some time. Yeah. It was not easy. And that's the whole thing. It's like the journey.
Yeah.
And staying in it and, just...
And then when it rains, it pours.
It was not easy.
That was a great week or a great month for Serhant.
Yes.
That same.
And congrats to you, by the way,
too.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah.
That was like a bunch of signature listings went into contract at the same time.
Yeah.
Like I said, when it rains, it pours.
Yeah.
It's like, all of us, we just have to stick with it.
Yeah.
It took 15 months to sell that townhouse. So,
yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. For some reason, it seems so much quicker. And that's the thing. That's why I feel like we have to tell this story because everyone's like, "Oh, you sold that so quick." I was like, "No, it was over a year."
Yeah, I actually have a question relating to that. Like one thing that me personally, one thing I absolutely hate hearing from people is, "Oh, you make this look easy."
Yes.
As someone who's always produced his own content, who's always done everything, I do all this stuff on my own. And when people say, "Oh, you make this look so easy," like it's really so not.
Yes. That's why I'm like, I have to tell the story of this place because they're like, oh, you just got this listing and then, oh, you're commissioned so much. I'm like, if you spread that out over the amount of times I've showed this and the amount of work that I've done, it's a lot.
Right. Exactly. You almost like, it's like you feel that when the check comes in, it's like, man, I wish this was bigger.
Yes. Yeah. That's why I don't like to talk about it because people are like, oh gosh, are you taking like when it went into contract, they're like, oh, are you taking the rest of the year off? Are you doing
what
this?
are you talking about?
What? Who does that? No. I'm like, I still will go out and show a renter and
especially in this market, we have to leverage each and every moment of success that we have because they for most of the market it's really not like that.
Right.
It's such a big industry. There's so many thousands of agents, but the community of agents that actually do a good book of business is really, really small.
Very small.
So it's like most of the agents that you see on the other side of a deal sheet, you see again on the other side of a deal sheet. So
for sure.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Yeah.
What's the biggest mistake you ever made?
Ooh, in real estate or in life?
It could be both if you'd like.
Oh my goodness. No one's ever asked that before, now that I think about it.
Well, that's what I'm here for. Ask you the
okay,
tough
wait,
questions.
what's the biggest mistake? I think for me, it would be not really a mistake, but like something that I was like, okay, I'm a yes girl. Like I said, I feel like I say yes to every lead. And I feel like there was one time when I sort of felt like too busy and turned someone down who was looking for something. And I kind of was like, I got to a point where I felt like I was sort of dropping the ball on clients. Like I had too much going on. And that's actually at the point when Ryan was like, you need to start a team. Like you're doing a lot. You can't be everywhere at once. You do feel like you're dropping the ball. So I do feel like I should have done that sooner, starting the team sooner. because I do feel like there are some clients that I didn't have the best time. I didn't treat them as I would have if I had like 100% attention to them.
That's interesting.
And I don't like to have that feel. I don't want people to feel like, oh, Talia had more important things to do.
No, of course. Yeah, that doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
I can relate to the idea that you're a yes person. Like you said, I feel like I've gotten myself into trouble numerous times in my life by yesing people to death.
Yes.
Like one example is I had a transaction that was about to go into contract. I was representing the seller, and the buyer was asking me in like his second showing, like, oh, can he repair this, and can he patch up these things, and can he do this, and can you do that? And I was just like, yes, no problem. We'll take care of it. We'll take care of it. We'll take care of it. And then the seller, when all this stuff was in the contract, was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, you're like, oops.
And listen, the deal ended up getting done, but because of that, he'll never work with me again.
Yeah.
So like that was really, really painful. And it was a lesson for me that you just, like I think a lot of yesing people to death comes from sometimes a lack of confidence in yourself. Like it's okay to say no.
Right.
It's okay to make people want something.
Yeah.
Instead of behaving as if you're afraid to lose it, that actually ends up getting you into more trouble.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah. So I feel like I felt like I was dropping balls and, trying to do too much, sort of.
Yeah.
So.
But now you have the support you need.
Now I have the support I need and growing.
It's working. So, you're hammering out these deals. I love it. Yeah, you saw today you put a little something into contract, or you closed on something today.
Yes, closed on something, and actually literally waiting for a counter signature on. I just listed something at 15 West 53rd.
Nice.
Been on the market for like 10 days.
Wow.
Buyer signed. I'm representing the seller, so just waiting for that.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
It's crazy, like that townhouse that I was telling you about, like we were on the market for 15 months, but when the offer came in, it was a cash offer and we closed in 2 weeks.
Wow.
Like it was nuts. Like, and
it
just came out of thin air.
Crazy. You're like, where were you 15 months ago? Just interesting.
Couldn't you have come a little earlier?
But it's all part of the business, and it's, it makes you appreciate it more.
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
exciting.
It's like it takes 15 months to get an overnight deal done,
Yeah.
So the same thing, it takes 25 years to become an overnight success,
right. Yeah.
So let me ask you this. If you had $1 million in equity to put somewhere, what would you do with it? Would you buy a home? Would you buy a real estate investment? Would you buy Tesla stock?
Probably real estate investment. I have a few investment properties. Always looking for more.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I agree with you there. For me, it wouldn't be buying a home.
Yeah.
Coming from people who sell homes for a living.
Right.
Buying a home historically is not a very good investment.
Right.
It's like, and people try to convince themselves it's a good investment, and that can throw a wrench in the engine of deal making. I think it's like for us, for me, I kind of like pivoted into convincing people or telling people, listen, like, don't try to convince yourself that this is a good investment.
Right.
Just tell yourself that this is a lifestyle decision. This is a decision you're making. Because when you buy a home, you're paying a home all the time.
Yeah.
So I think I'm with you there. Like the more doors, the better.
I get excited when people are like, if you had this money, what would you do? And I'm like, ooh, is this what I'm getting at the end of this podcast?
Yes, exactly. Where are some of the investment properties that you own?
I have something in Philly. I bought a property at the Rockaway Beach, Tulum, and Rahway, New Jersey.
What do you do with that Tulum property? It's like an Airbnb?
Yes.
Wow, that's awesome.
2 properties there. We have a full-time renter, my husband and I, a renter in place. He's been there for about 2 years, and then the other one is an Airbnb.
There's so much opportunity in Airbnb because so many of them, just like hotels, are poorly marketed.
Right.
So if you can, most Airbnb hosts don't really understand that you have to sell the experience.
Oh, for sure.
This isn't like taking a picture of a house or an apartment. Like you really have to share the moments in time that draw people in. So I find that there's just tremendous opportunity there. So if you snag a couple of good properties and you market them well, your nightly rate will go up like crazy.
For sure. Yeah.
If you can go back and change anything about your journey, is there a moment in time that stands out to you?
Yeah, I would say real estate wise. Life is probably a whole different thing.
We all have a lot of those.
That's really funny.
Yeah, my little brother was here for the summer.
Oh my gosh.
And we had these little dark guns, and a few of them got stuck.
I noticed. Little bro. Okay. So I would say, how was the question framed? Is there, if you could go back and do something differently?
Is there anything you change about your journey? Yes. Like, is there a moment in time that stands out to you?
Yes. I would say when I first started working with Ryan, in 2016, I just was like wanting everything to happen quickly. And I was like, you know, month went by, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months. And I was like kind of not making money. Yeah. And he's like, this is what real estate is. Yes. I was like, but this doesn't happen on the show. And it, you know, I was like, what's happening? Where's the cha-ching, cha-ching all the time, every show within an hour.
All the commissions in the bottom corner. Yeah.
I was like, what? And he's like, just take your time, slow down, learn the process. Like, as he says, take care of the business and the business will take care of you. It's so true, because I feel like I was like failing, because I was like, this isn't happening as quick as I thought. And just slowing down and learning the process and enjoying the process as I went along, which then I did realize. And I was like, I started to learn this specific market of Brooklyn, which I think was so good for my business, because I knew nothing about that. Now I feel I probably do like 50% Manhattan, 50% Brooklyn, and I know Brooklyn so well,
you know, like the back
which
of
I
your hand
never
now.
would have known. So it was just like slowing down, enjoying the process. And it's hard to say in the moment, because you're like, but I'm making no money. And I'm supposed to be in this full time and not have another job. So how am I going to do this? So just learning the process, helping people along the way, you know, offering to help, taking your time, really learning, and not feeling so stressed like, well, what if I don't make it? Or what if this doesn't happen?
Where do you live now? Do you live in Brooklyn?
I live in the financial district.
Nice. Do you like it there?
I love it.
Yeah, it's nice. It's especially at night. It's nice that it quiets down a little bit.
It's all right. I don't like to tell too many people. I love it. I love the seaport. I love the tin building that's there now. Being
John
close
George.
to the water. Jean George, the Fulton's like my favorite. I run along the water. I bike along the water.
Do you run daily?
Twice, 2 or 3 times a week.
Nice.
I bike. I do yoga.
I gotta start
swim.
doing. I gotta start doing something. Huh?
You look great, so you're doing something.
Well,
right.
Manjaro is a hell of a drug.
So, yeah. Well.
We touched on this a little bit. I was going to ask you what you're passionate about outside of the real estate business. Yes. If there's anything else that jumps out.
Yeah, definitely volunteering. Definitely travel, which I talked about as well. And we pretty much had it working out. Those are like my 3 ands.
Exercise.
Yeah.
Love it. Only 2 more questions, then I'll have you out of here.
All right.
How'd you and your husband meet?
We met on Match.
That's awesome.
Is it?
Wow.
You don't have to say that's awesome. It's not awesome.
No, it is, because it's
weird.
like it's but that's exactly why it's awesome.
No, because it worked. Maybe because it worked.
Exactly. You don't get a lot of those success stories.
I know. I'm like, oh no. I tell people, I'm like real about it. I'm like, I know dating apps suck. We met each other and we hated each other our first date. Then an entire year went by. We matched on Match again.
Wow.
And we decided to give it a second try.
And did you download Match from like one of those commercials?
Yeah.
Match.com.
Yeah. I did.
That's why it's awesome.
It's weird, but it's cool. Yeah, sure.
I love that. And now you're happily married.
We're happily married.
How long are you married for now?
We just hit a year.
Wow.
Made it a year.
Mazel tov.
Yes, thank you.
Love that.
He's amazing.
So what's next for you? What are you excited about going into the new year? I know, this podcast will come out in like the 3rd or 4th week of January.
Nice.
So what are you excited about
happy
going
New
into
Year.
2024? Yeah, exactly.
I want to continue growing the team. I feel like to a point, like I want to have a successful team, and that's what's important to me. Like I feel like I do have business to help newer agents. That's what I like doing.
Keep them well fed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And just being a good mentor, because I feel like this industry needs that. Ryan was that for me.
Yes.
I'm that for my team.
Yes.
I like to be available. I like to be accessible to them. And then doing more speaking, because I do really enjoy that. I think it's a great mix of everything. Travel, real estate, mentoring, coaching, speaking, like that's a huge passion of mine.
So just kicking it up a notch in everything that you love.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for doing this, Talia.
This
I appreciate
is great.
it.
This is really fun. Is it over? Yeah. Like it is. Let's go. You're like, you're like tick. You have a time frame.
Yeah, you have a time frame.
If I wasn't going to Chicago, it would be like
I could
more
keep this
leisurely.
going all day.
All good. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Love it. That was great.
Good.